Great job. We have just one final speech coming up before we wrap up. I'd like to introduce Laura Magaña Valladares. She's the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Schools and Programs of Public Health. The Association of Schools and Programs of Public Health welcomed her as the new President and Chief Executive Officer in August of 2017. Before joining the ASPPH, Magaña dedicated more than 30 years to successfully leading the transformation and advancements of public and private universities in Mexico, educational organizations in the US, United Nations programs, and NGOs in Central America and Europe. And she was most recently the Academic Dean of the ASPPH member National Institute of Public Health in Mexico. Laura. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much again, Sandro, Lisa, all the staff. This day has been just really incredible. And this is my passion, teaching, so thank you very much for making this happen. I have the very tough job of actually closing some of the remarks. So some of the things that you're going to be hearing is just maybe emphasizing some of the ideas that have been coming up during the day, but some others not necessarily. So at the end, I think, of my time, I want to be able to leave three messages. First of all, the first one is to advances in education that we know and we are hearing that are happening. We need to realize that they are good, but they're not enough. We need a new mindset in order to really revolutionize education. And number three, the time to rethink and redesign the complete higher education system is now. So I'm going to make the case for the first one. And if we just see around us, we know that technology has really transformed the way we live. If we think about transportation, we used to have one car, two cars, even three cars in our homes, but right now, especially if you live in an urban area, you don't want to have a car, right? You just have your cell and you can call an Uber or any community car or use any of the transportation, the public transportation. And we remember, for example, in entertainment, we need to go to a place in order to put the video, the movie that we want to see. But right now, it's just everywhere. You can have it with you, and just you're sitting there with all your entertainment. And who remembers going actually for shopping, to shop for clothes? Right now, we can do, just sitting and relaxing in your bed, and you can just shop whatever you need. Remember when we actually needed to go to the telephone and you are standing there just talking. Well, right now you can just talk. I mean, maybe it's not safe, but you are doing it. You are doing it anyway. And remember when those days when we went to the bank and all these files. Now we don't have to do that. Everything is in our device. Remember when we used to use watches? Right now, we use it, but it's not necessarily to see the time. We use it for several other things. So we might think that everything has changed so dramatically. And yes, except for education. If you look at the classroom in 1920, which is this one, and you look at a classroom today, I'm not saying in our institutions, but this is a picture from somebody else. But it's radically the same. They are sitting the same way. They all are, watching to one person in the stage. And maybe some people will argue with me that, no, everybody has right now their laptops in the classroom. Yeah, but please see how they are sitting there. And if we look really closely what they are doing, maybe if we are lucky, one is paying attention. The other ones are checking mails or the Facebook or the news or maybe the pictures from last week or maybe even doing some work for next class. So it's not about automation only, I would say. Now, we need to recognize that we are, of course, doing very good advances in education. And we already talked this morning in some of these advances from last century all the way to this century. I mean, frame the future for us in the public health arena was really something that really pushed us to do something different. We have new SIF criteria. But all of these advances are not enough. We really need to make the case that we really need a new mindset in order to really change what we're doing in education. When the economy changes, so must education. So for example, last century, it was a national analog industrial economy. And of course, in that economy, we have common processes, we had time and processes are fixed, and of course, education needed to be like that too. So education, that's why we focus on teaching, sitting time, because it's important to have that processes there. But now, we are in the global digital information economy, completely different from the past century, right? And the global digital information economy focuses on outcomes, not on process anymore, and processes and times are really variable. But guess what? Education, if we really need to support that kind of economy, needs to focus on learning and on mastery. And we feel that in some of our schools and programs, we are not quite yet. We really need an educational revolution. Because it's not about automation. It's not only about automation. And some of the things that we're doing in education has been just automation. And I want to argue with you that it's a great difference between automation and innovation. Automation, for example, improves the way we do things, and that's a good thing, of course. So for example, take email. Email, before we just write our letters and send them, now we do that electronically. That's an automation, that's very good, it's quicker. But it's not innovation, because innovation challenges the status quo and provides different ways to do things. It's not doing the same thing, but through a machine. It's doing different things, doing things differently. And that is where I think we are stuck in education. Think about the other areas. For example, social media is a clear message of that's innovation. It's not an email. Social media is communicating our message in a very different way as we used before. Take Spotify. I receive every Monday my list of my preferred songs, and they're very accurate. They are really the songs that I like. So how do they know that, right? That's a very innovative way to really to provide their services. So education, well, right now, people fear that I'm sorry. People fear that robots will replace our jobs. Well, they will. They have always done it. Just go back to centuries ago to the Industrial Revolution and then the corporate economy where professional degrees really, were expanded, and we really were educating our students for the bureaucracies, for the big the corporations. But right now, we're in the digital era. It's a very different area with robots, technology, information. And right now, what the workforce really needs are the skills to live through these times, which are talented people, creative people, flexible, innovation. So what will higher education do? And I think higher education is right now there. There's no choice. Either we reinvent ourselves or we are already becoming obsolete because we are not really changing as much as the other areas are. So in order to do that, we need a new mindset to really revolutionize education. So the public health education that we envision, and some of these ideas have already been mentioned this morning, at least I'm going to underline 7 things. The first one, higher education has to transit from a one-time event, which is right now, to a lifelong learning event. It's something that starts around age 18, it has to end in retirement. It's the whole life that we need to go in and out, but the whole system has to allow for multiple reentries according to what is needed. We need to transit, number 2, from a telescopic view that all the students fit the same, which right now we have same entry requirements, we have same graduation requirements. Well, if we really want the system to have different entries, then we need unique experiences for individual students. We need multiple entries, multiple exits too. Number 3, we really need to change our curriculum to, instead of having all that content in terms of knowledge, knowing that knowledge doubles every 13 months, and the predictions are that in a year will double every 11 hours. We know that our graduates right now will average 11 employers. We know that 40% of our current graduates are taking jobs that didn't exist when they were freshmen. And we also know that 50% of current jobs will disappear in the last decade. So instead of having stock of knowledge, we need the competencies that will allow our students to reach the knowledge that they need in that particular time. So the competencies right now that all our employers are seeking are entrepreneurs, creative, critical thinkers, technological savvy, users of data, and you know, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that this morning. Right now, there's a lot of companies that are using people analytics. They are not searching for the best degrees. They are searching for the best minds. Where is the people that can do this, and that, not the people who has, the pedigree degrees. Next one, if we really believe in that, then, and that's a tough one, it has to be education time variable. The importance is that all of the students will reach their target competencies, mastery of those. So if a student lasts 6 months, the other one 2 years, the other one maybe an intensive course in the summer, that's fine. We need to allow that because we are really concentrating in mastery competencies, not really the semester, the year, or the 2 years of the programs that we have. There are some universities, of course, examples that are trying to do this. Joseph Ang from Northeastern University, the president, has already instructed all the programs that at least they need, these are the basic curriculum that he has to see in the university, which is technological literacy, data literacy, and human literacy. He said these are the essential competencies of the future. And in order for this to happen, we need experiential learning, which we already talked this morning a lot. Next idea, so we need to transit from this static curriculum that we have right now to really flexible curriculum. So people will the different competencies, they're going to construct their own curriculums. And of course, and I'm glad that we also talked about this morning, we want to have, and we're having diverse learning scenarios. We need to embrace that, not only on campus, but on the job. The micro-credentials are happening right now. I mean, right now, there are universities that are really partnering with the industry and doing their own degrees, micro-degrees, depending on what they need in the corporation. So we need to embrace really and value experiential learning wherever it occurs. Already, American Council on Education, that was a notice from a news from a couple of weeks ago. They are already piloting a study in the work-based experience, trying to give them credit for what they are learning in the workplace. Of course, we need to talk about new roles for faculty, because there are new jobs for faculty if we really are going to embrace this kind of a change. We need people who can design learning scenarios. We need faculty that can trace the students' performance throughout their entire career. We need to coach the students. We need to mentor instead of lecture. We need to interpret performance dashboards. We need to assess readiness. And in order to do that, of course, we need to leave our silos and coming from standalone institutions to alliances and networks, and that's why ASPPH and works very, very closely with all our members in order to create those alliances. So the last message, the time to rethink and redesign the complete higher education system is now. And I'm very grateful for Sandro and Lisa, because this is a call to action. This is a whole symposium is that. And the very first thing that we do when we create something like this is create the space to think about what we want. And this is a space, and really I'm very grateful for that. We really need to involve different actors, all the different stakeholders, of course, inside and outside the health sector. And of course, we need to provoke. And I'm glad that you are provokers of this change, and we need to continue supporting and stimulate this educational change. And hopefully, all of us together, we break this chains that we have of the past, because the difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from the old ones. Thank you. Okay, great. Anybody have a question? We're too tired, maybe. Yes.
Thank you so much for the talk. It really resonates with me. My name is Ala, and I'm a doctoral student doing my dental public health program in the dental school. For me, the program gave me the flexibility to craft my own curriculum, and I'd like to share this experience with you all. So, like innovation to teach public health. So, from my own experience, I've been like a student of Boston City. So, if we like leverage the resources of the city, we can really master and practice public health. So I've joined a lot of challenges and hackathons. And on those challenges and hackathons, it's a very nice opportunities for all public health students to master the public health skills and also develop this important connection. We know that the connection is so important for any public health professionals. So this is one, like leveraging the city resources and also to learn from other contexts. So one of the things from my experience here in Boston, when I join different events, for example, NCD-free events, so they do like a kind of challenge where team come together and try to solve a problem in the field. And then they present those solution projects in front of experts in public health. And they are like giving advice and tips for different teams. So this is one of the things. So learning from other contexts, as for example, entrepreneurship, or for example, design thinking skills. So we have like many things that will help public health students master their skills. And one of the suggestions that I would like to see in the field is like, for example, hackathon-based structure, like specifically for public health. We have it in BU, like the hackathon was like Girls Who Code, but I really like to see it like in the public health sector, where like public health students can solve problems, existing problem in the community, where they can practice this with organizations and really apply those solutions on the reality. So those were some of the experiences I like to share with you all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that if we believe in the skills that we need, the only way to really develop the skills is practicing and doing it. That's why it's very important to engage the students to do and to really embrace, learning everywhere that's happening, especially in the sites that you're going to be practicing, like the community and corporate and everything. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much. That was really inspiring, and also I appreciated it as someone who graduated recently. I'd like to maybe propose one addition to what you've said, in that not only do we need to reevaluate the higher education system, but also what is the definition of receiving credit for doing something. Because I really liked what you just said about going to hackathons and going to things around the city, but what I hear from students consistently is, I don't have the time, because they're still stuck in the same deliverables, paper, project, even an infographic, and they don't get credit necessarily for going outside the walls, except maybe in a very structured practicum experience or a class that partners with someone else. Like, how do we encourage students to take advantage of local, one-off, but very strategic and in-depth experiences in the community in a way that would reflect back on the credit for their curriculum?
Right. So that's why we talk about redesigning the complete system, because it's not just adding experiences. It's really rethinking about what we are doing in order to everyone to embrace what we are doing in the new system, talking about credits, talking about the time they're going to be here, talking about the responsibility of the higher education institution to our long life learning, and what does that mean for the students to be also a long life learner. So yeah, it's just rethinking about the whole thing together. So thank you for your comment.
Okay. Thank you. So we're just about there. Sandro and Lisa are going to come up and wrap up. I wanted to just share one strongest impression that I come away with, which is that on the one hand, you have Laura and other people talking about the need for a real educational revolution, which you see in public education and other places as well. On the other hand, one of my main impressions from the day overall was that this is a field that is doing very well. It's growing robustly. It has a lot of people who want to be in it. And so I think that presents a very central challenge for you, is that you, if you choose, are going to need to change at a time when there aren't forces that are forcing you to change. And so I was so struck by the contrast in journalism these days, where the business model has gone away. If we were at a conference, people would have been going, oh my God, what are we going to do? And here the tone was kind of, what are we going to do? And so I would just remind you that you have the luxury of a little time and space, and so I wish you great energy to use it well. And thank you for today. Sandro and Lisa.
I actually just want to make one quick announcement. I first want to thank everybody for everything that you brought to today, for all of your energy in getting the materials together for the book. It's going to be great. So thank you all for delivering on that. It's been a great day. We have done a lot of things, and everybody's doing fantastic things. Thank you for sharing. I also appreciate Laura's call for urgency. This is time for us to do things differently. The clock was very stressful, but now we're at a fork in the road. So we have to do things differently, and I think we can do it. Many of you have come to us over the course of the day asking if the slides will be available. We will be going out to all the speakers and asking if they are comfortable with us sharing the slides. As soon as we get those consents, we will post them. We have a digital portal here at the school. Some of you may have seen it. We call it the Population Health Exchange. It's where we house all of our lifelong learning materials. We have a place there for materials on best practices, resources for teachers, and so we will post these materials there as soon as we get your consent. So thank you all. We'll send the link out to you, and safe travels home. Thank you.
So I'm going to conclude in the spirit of active learning with 5 thank yous. I'm going to ask you to join me in 5 rounds of applause. Number 1, it really takes a village to make something like this happen. It takes about a year of planning. Lindsay Morakver keeps us all together, and the Dean's Office team led by Catherine Atman, the communication team led by Cara Peterson, and the education team led by Dean Sullivan really have done an enormous amount of work. So please join me in saying thank you to all of them. Number 2, we had 37 people with speaking roles, and we're ending on time, which strikes me as as unlikely as that people actually are landing on the moon. So please join me in thanking all our speakers and panelists. Number 3, a thank you to our fantastic MC, Carrie Goldberg, who has actually kept us on time and really had really cool, interesting insights throughout the day. And when we first spoke, the vision was, can we get someone from the media who is a partner who we think is smart and sophisticated, but who's not in our community, who can actually give us interesting insight? And really, we couldn't have chosen better. It was really delightful to have you. Thank you very much for joining us. 4, I really want to thank Dean Lisa Sullivan, who is truly the brains and is just a visionary thinker in education, who I think has worked harder really than anyone else in the country in the past while to really think about education and to just do it, to make it happen. And it's something I really respect. It's a privilege to work with you every day. Thank you, Lisa. And number 5, really thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody in person, everybody online. We have about twice as many people online as we had in the room. And we are deeply aware all the time of how busy everybody is and how precious everybody's time is. Time really is their one commodity that's not fungible. And I'm deeply grateful to you all for spending the day with us. As I said at the beginning, I hope to learn, and I have learned so much today. So thank you all. Have a safe trip home. Thank you for joining us.